How's the food? Are we up?
Kirsten, you're going to see me after, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We'll call to order the City of Newberry Code Enforcement Special Magistrate hearing for today, February 13th. If y'all will stand with me, we'll pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I give my little spiel at the very beginning, and so today it'll just be for you, Miss Erica, probably. Code enforcement, what code enforcement is for. We're code enforcement magistrate here. I'm code enforcement magistrate in Levy County, several other places. We represent several cities, and this is my take. And from my conversations with everybody at Newberry, this is their take on code enforcement. This process is here. I'm here really just for compliance. We're not here to punish anybody. We're not here to collect money and it to be a source of revenue for the city. They really just want people to come into compliance with their codes. So we're not going to be overly punishing anybody. Like I said, it's not punishment. It's not a fundraising affair. We're here to just make sure that everybody abides by the codes of Newberry. I think Ms. Greta talked to you about the process. We're going to call case by case. When I call a certain case, the city will bring evidence for the case. You'll have the ability to bring evidence for your side of the case, and there will be a chance for you to ask me questions. I really don't have any of the evidence. They've sent me the violations. I've looked at the violations. I've looked at everything that they've sent you in the mail or delivered to your house as far as notice. I haven't seen any of the pictures or any of that. All that evidence is being brought to me today, so they'll have the chance to bring that evidence. You'll have the chance to bring your evidence today, and you'll have the chance to cross-examine them and ask them questions, and they may need to ask you a couple questions just so that I get all of the information about the purported violation and whether it is a violation or not. And we'll go back and forth if we have to, and then at the end of that, I'll determine whether there's a violation or not, and I will determine, I'll give you probably, if we do determine there's a violation, I'll give a time to fix it, and the results, if it's not fixed, meaning that under the code, the city has the ability to ask me to fine the property owner if the code violation is not fixed by a certain time after we've determined that there is a violation. Do you have any questions about the process? All right, then we'll go ahead and get started. The first one on here is the one that we've continued. So I'm just going to announce here, I sent out an email yesterday for Southeast Perimeter Solutions, Rustic Oaks. We are continuing that, and it looks like the next hearing
March
date
13th.
will be March 13th. We're going to continue that to March 13th, and in that email I explained I'm going to send out an order continuing it to that hearing, but also kind of summarizing where I think that is procedurally and what I'm expecting from folks at the next hearing, which is pretty specific to that case. So the next one will be, if you want to call it, Ms. Greta, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Next case on the docket agenda for today will be City of Newberry, Florida versus Erica Solano and Elizabeth Scala Thod. And if you will, I will present you and the secretary my PowerPoint as Exhibit A.
Okay. And just so you know, Miss Erica, everything she's given us she's gonna put it up here. And if you'd like to have, I don't know if you made her a copy or not, but if you'd like to have one, I'm pretty sure we can get a copy of it.
Sorry.
I should just leave it to her.
That's all right. All right. Yes, ma'am, I did make sure of that. Case number Special Magistrate 2025-005, City of Newberry, Florida versus Erica Solano and Lisbeth Scala Thaw. The property is located at 23023 Northwest 4th Place, Newberry, Florida 32669. Parcel number is 01901-090-230. It's approximately .239 acres in size. The property is zone RSF2 within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, and is not homestead. The property is in violation of the City of Newberry Code of Ordinance, Chapter 14, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 2, Section 14-101A, subsection. It shall be unlawful for any person to construct, alter, repair, remove, or demolish, or to commence the construction, alteration, repair, or removal or demolition of a building or structure in the city without first obtaining formal permit from the building inspector. The timeline is between September 30th of 2021 and June 27th of 2024. The city's been working with the property owners regarding the building of a shed without a permit. On July the 1st of 2024, I submitted a notice of violation to the property owners with a compliance date of August the 1st of 2024. I also posted the property in City Hall. On August the 6th of 2024, I conducted a reinspection on the property and found the shed was still present, and I also reviewed the permitting site and found that no permit was pulled for the structure. On August the 7th of 2024, I received a phone call from Michelle Romero, who lives in the home and is the daughter of the property owner. She advised the shed was originally constructed by her mother. On August the 7th of 24, Michelle Romero began an after-the-fact building permit for the shed, and the reference number at the time was 24-0560. However, did not complete the permit application. On October the 14th of 2024, I emailed Ms. Romero advising the completion of the building permit was overdue and to please complete the application as soon as possible, that if not completed, the next step in the process would be a special magistrate hearing. I did receive a phone call from Ms. Romero on October 21st after receiving my email advising that she was considering tearing down the structure at that time. On January 30th of 2025, I re-inspected the property and found the structure was still intact and no additional activity on the permitting site. On February the 3rd, 2025, I submitted a request for hearing, and at that date, I posted the property in City Hall. The property is located in Newberry Oaks subdivision, which is off of Newberry Road behind the Equestrian Center. This photo was taken by myself on June 27th of 2024 at the location, showing the shed in the backyard of the property. This photo is just a closer view, also taken on June 27th of 2024 at the location. This photo is taken from the property behind the residence, which is the Equestrian Center, on June 27th of 2024, showing just the backyard of the property and the shed. I posted the property. It's just a photo of the posting that I presented on July 1st of 2024 at the property. I re-inspected after the initial notice of violation. I re-inspected on August the 6th and showed that the building was still present. This is the photo I took January 30th of 2025, showing that the building was still intact on the property. And this photo was taken February 3rd, showing the posting for the hearing. City's recommendation is the compliance must be achieved within the 30 days. If not achieved, a fine of $50 per day be assessed, and at that time, full cost of prosecution of $150, and they authorize the City of Newberry to impose a lien on the property. That ends my presentation.
Okay, Miss Erica, if you want to come up yet, and we need to swear in Miss Erica, but we also needed to swear in Miss Greta. So Miss Greta, if you'll stay standing, if y'all raise y'all's right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're going to give and have given us already today is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. All right, Miss Erica, what do you have for me?
All right, so I purchased this house for my mom back in, I don't remember, maybe early 2020, 2021. And yes, she built this doghouse, a shed. We didn't, illiterate, we just didn't know the process. We did get that letter back then about it being in violation. And I had worked, and I can't remember the guy's name, but someone else was in charge of that process then. And I worked with him for weeks. I had a 300-page packet that I brought to here, and then I never heard back. And so, to be totally honest, in my mind, everything was good with that packet that was provided. And then we got a letter in 2024. My mom no longer lives there. There are no dogs there anymore. The structure's actually closed. My sister lives there, Michelle Romero, who was trying to get approval to, now learning that, no, it wasn't okay. We do need to go through this process. She did everything she could, and there are some complications for a regular citizen to go through this process because not anybody is going to help you out. And so, we needed to get the signatures from, a construction or an architect, and we just couldn't get that. And so I think that at this point, we're just going to knock it down, because my mom's not there, her dogs aren't there, and, we just need to get this corrected. It does cost a good amount of money, and so my sister's not being able to do that. The house is mine because it's in my name, and the loan is in my name, but Michelle is the owner of the house. And so our plan is to knock it down. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up, I think that's last resource. You knock it down and that's it. That fixes everything. Before we did that, though, the walls are horribly stained, with dog pee. And so, we're going to remove all of that. And I didn't know if at that point there could be an inspection that allowed somebody with experience to go in and look. Everything was, in the backup that I provided was a downloaded picture or plan for the shed. It was a pre-approved kind of thing that we downloaded, and then, we just had some people help put together everything. I had submitted all the materials, pictures of everything, pictures of the process, of the walls, and the beams being put at whatever distance. So long story short, if there's still, this was an expensive structure, even though it's a shed. We can all know that, back then it was over $10K to build. And so last resource, we knock it down. But if we're taking out that drywall and there's an opportunity for you or whomever, an inspector, to go look at that, could we actually maybe get it approved that way? The one thing that we're unable to get, it's the signature from an I don't know any architects, and I call some numbers, Michelle calls some numbers, and it's not easy. A lot of them don't want to deal with that. And back in the day when I did this process in 21, I had been giving some names of people that I could work with from here. And I call all of them. Nobody answered. Nobody called me back. Nobody, nothing. And so, while I understand that, and now I know that, there's a permit and all of that's required, it's also pretty challenging for the normal citizen to go through this process. And so I want to be compliant. Last resource, we knock it down. But that's where I wanted to ask you, Ms. Greta, and you, Mr. Fugate. If that would, if we take those walls out and somebody can go look and I can submit the image, the plans of the shed, if that would be the way to approve this, or would I still need a signature from an architect, which is the one thing that I can't get?
All right, so my answer to that question is, my role here is to say, okay, is there a piece of Newberry's code that you are in violation of? It's my job is not to, I don't understand the permitting process. I've got several cities that I do represent that I know the process. I'm not sure in Newberry what it's going to take to get that application all the way through and get a permit issued. That's questions for Ms. Greta. I don't have those answers for you. My job today is really, they bring to me and say, hey, this structure is here without being permitted. It's in violation of the code. My job is to say violation or no violation and to try and get it corrected. Again, it's not to punish you and make things harder on you, but I just don't know their permitting process and all of the steps of what it would take. Now, in some of my cities, and I'm not saying that Newberry does it this way, if you were going to do some kind of rehab in there, if you had a contractor and an architect help you do all that, they may be willing to say, okay, I've got the plans that put the building here, I've got the plans for what we're going to fix in here. If you were going to do work in there, you've got to get that re-permitted as well. So through that process, there may be a way for somebody to get the signature that they're needing to be able to issue that permit. I don't know the answer to that question. That's something you're going to have to work with the permitting folks at the city of Newberry on. And she may be willing to answer that today, or she may say, no, I'm the code enforcement person. I'm not the permitting person. We'll have to go talk to the permitting department to figure out what it would take to get permitted. Okay?
Great.
But also, you said one thing, if you just demo it and tear it down, that may fix all the issues, but I'm pretty sure the code, you're not being cited for demoing it without a permit today. I'm pretty sure the code says building, doing any kind of refurbishment to it or demoing it, you've got to get a permit. So I'm pretty sure, and it won't be hard to get a demo permit because I don't think you're going to have an architect. You're just going to have a permit for demoing the property. You got to get a permit for demoing it too. So I don't know
Okay.
that you can just throw your hands up at the end of this hearing today and go out there with a sledgehammer yourself and start
Right.
tearing it down. You will need to talk to them about the permitting process for that as well.
Of course.
I don't have answers to that question. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So, I was not given that information by your sister, that you
She
were
didn't
working
know.
on that, so I probably would have given you a little bit more time. Magistrate, I don't mind, giving them additional time other than the 30 days. so
Okay.
We can work together for the best, resolution to what they want to do. I mean, we could go 60 days. That will give us some time to discuss it and come up with a plan.
Okay.
Great. And that way we can evaluate, right? Like, what does it cost to do A versus B? And then, kind of figure out what she wants to do. Ultimately, she's going to be the one paying the money, and so it's not my decision, but that would be amazing. And yes, Michelle had not brought that up. That really was something that I thought about driving here, because I'm like, well, we're going to have to do a lot of work in there anyway. The walls, the door, the side, dogs. But, so anyway, that'd be great. And then maybe I will kind of be the one working with you, so that we can figure out what makes sense.
And you said you provided some plans before?
Yeah,
Did-
and
you haven't seen
unfortunately, I
those?
don't have copies.
Okay.
I gave it was like a 300 packet, 300 pages with pictures of from what type of wood was purchased with receipts and the
Sure.
screws and the sheet, the root, everything. At this point, it is what it is.
Sure.
I just want to, and that's a good point. We'll
Well,
probably have to contract somebody to do the work, and we'll work with you, and that's where we'll have to get a quote and
I guess
evaluate.
my point is, this has nothing to do with whether there's a violation or not. This is just, and it's not even really legal advice to you, it's the process advice. If you're going to get somebody to help you contract for the rehabbing of some of the stuff that's going on there and doing all that and permitting the structure all at the same time, whoever that person is who's going to be the contractor or signing off on that stuff for you is probably going to find it a lot easier if they have those previous plans.
Okay.
And I don't know whether you have them. I don't know
I can
whether there's a
find them
copy
again.
of them somewhere.
It'll take me a little while, but I know that because it was something that we had gotten from online, that we can go back, like my husband has all of that, in his record stuff.
Sure.
So yes, I can get the plan. I don't know that we have to the level of the receipt with the screws and what I had submitted before, but I know that we can definitely at least pull that
Okay.
drawing.
Okay. So outside of I don't want to cut you off. Did you have anything else that you wanted to?
No, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
So, does the 60 days, does that sound fair enough for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is accept the evidence, and I am going to have a finding that there is a violation on the property, and I am going to say that it needs to come into compliance within 60 days. And if it doesn't come into compliance within 60 days, that $50 a day will start ticking. And I am also going to find that I am also going to assess the full cost of prosecution at $150. But I always do this. If you come into compliance within 60 days, you won't be paying the $50 a day, and I'm going to waive that full cost of prosecution if you get into compliance with what Ms. Greta says. And here's the process. If you don't come into compliance, that $50 starts ticking the day after, on day 61. That $50 starts ticking every day. It doesn't become a lien on your property until they bring it back and we record that, but that usually happens pretty quick after that starts ticking. And that $50 a day, if you wanted to sell that property, is a lien on the property that whoever bought it would have to take care of when they bought it, or when you sold it, that lien would have to be paid out of the closing, and all of that money that you would get from a closing from selling a nice house that you have, because it looks like a nice house, would if that $50 a day is ticking for a year, that's going to be several $1,000s that's going to have to be paid off before you can get a title insurance policy to sell that piece of property. But hopefully within the 60 days, y'all will be able to get together and figure out exactly what's got to happen to get it permitted.
So just to clarify, within those 60 days, we need to have a plan, but it doesn't mean like if we decide to knock it down, it'll all have to happen by 60 days? Or if we decide to rebuild or, whatever, the people need to do the work within those 60 days? Or the 60 day is more for us to get together and have that final plan to then move forward with what needs to happen?
What I'm saying is, within 60 days, the property needs to come into compliance. If y'all are well on the way to getting that done, yes, that $50 a day will start ticking, but if it happens 10 days, or if it happens 30 days after that 60 days, I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but Ms. Greta's probably going to come back to me and say, hey, after that 30 days, this has come into compliance, can we dismiss this case?
Or maybe
But-
give it an extension, just so that we can finish
Sure.
compliance, whatever that means.
But I'm always apprehensive about sending it away and saying, hey, let's bring it back, because I'm not saying that this with you, because I think my assessment of this situation is that it's been somebody else at the property that people have been dealing with, and you seem like you are one that's going to be on top of it.
Yes.
So I think that if the process is moving like it's supposed to after 60 days, that $50 a day will start ticking. But if she knows that it's in that process, she's probably, after the process is finished, going to bring it back to me and say, let's just dismiss this case.
Great.
I
Thank
don't
you.
want to, she's not forced to do that, but she's of the same mind that I am, that this process is just for bringing people into compliance. Okay?
Great. Thank
All
you.
right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Greta. Have fun, and I'll contact you.
All right. So next case 2025-006.
Yes, sir. This is City of Newberry, Florida versus Hannah Prudlova McNeil. And I'm going to give you and the clerk my copy of my PowerPoint, which is Exhibit A.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Special Magistrate Case 2025-006. City of Newberry, Florida versus Hannah Prudlova McNeil. The property is located at 26014 Southwest 4th Avenue, Newberry, Florida, 32669. Parcel number is 01983-001-000, approximately .32 acres in size. The property is zoned RSF MH-2 within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, and is not homesteaded. Property is in violation of the City of Newberry Code of Ordinances, Article 6, Dangerous Buildings and Hazardous Lands, Section 14-334, creating, keeping, maintaining, allowing the existence of dangerous buildings or hazardous lands unlawful. Shall be unlawful for any owner of real property within the city to create, keep, maintain, or allow the existence of any dangerous building or hazardous land as defined in this article in or on such real property. Second violation, Section 9.5, maintenance. All buildings or structures, both existing and new, and all parts thereof, shall be maintained in a safe and sanitary condition. All devices or safeguards which are required by this article in a building when erected, altered, or repaired shall be maintained in good working order. The owner or his or her designated agent shall be responsible for the maintenance of buildings, structures, and premises. Section 9.22.10, general requirements for the exterior and interior of the structures. Windows to be openable. Every window required for light and ventilation for habitable rooms shall be capable of being easily opened and secured in position by the window hardware. Timeline is on July 23rd of 2024. I received a complaint from a neighbor of the poor condition of the structure and the property. I opened a case and forwarded a courtesy letter to the property owner with a compliance date of August 23rd of 24. On August 26th of 24, I re-inspected the property and discovered someone was living inside the structure who advised the property had been recently sold to a new owner. I was advised by the complainant that the tenant lives with no power or water inside the residence. I was able to confirm the City of Newberry utilities that there was currently no utilities on at that time. September 3rd of 2024, I forwarded a new courtesy letter to the new property owner with a compliance date of September 28th of 24. On September 30th, 24, I re-inspected the property and found the violations still existed. On October the 1st of 24, I submitted a notice of violation to the property owner with a compliance date of October 30th of 24. On November 4th of 24, I re-inspected the property and found a roll-off on the property that appeared to contain items from the interior of the residence. There was no change to the exterior of the residence and property at that time. On December the 18th of 24, I re-inspected the property and found the roll-off had been removed and no change to the exterior of the residence in the property. On February 3rd of 25, I re-inspected the property and found, again, no change. On February the 3rd of 25, I submitted a request for a special magistrate hearing. I also posted the property in City Hall on that date. The property is located on the west side of Newberry High School. So it's in a particular area that's a little concerning with the high school students in there. This photo was taken by myself on July the 22nd of 24. That was condition of the home at the time. Another photo taken by myself July 22nd of 24. Also July 22nd, 24, taken by myself. Same date, July 22nd of 2024. This was the photo I took on August 26th of 24, showing the conditions of the home. I took this photo August 26th of 24. At this time, they had mowed the grass, and that was the extent of what they had done. This was a photo taken by myself on September 30th of 24. I posted the property October 1st of 24. This is the photo I took November the 4th of 24, showing the roll-off was on the property. This was the rear of the property, still showing trash and debris of November the 4th of 2024. This was the photo I took of the property February 3rd of 25, showing the property. And then I posted the property February 3rd of 25. City's recommendations: compliance must be achieved within 30 days. Compliance is not achieved, a fine of $50 per day be assessed. And then full cost of prosecution, $150, and authorize the city of Newberry to impose a lien on the property at that time. And at this stage, I cannot confirm whether there's someone still living in the property. I've not seen the individual.
I was going to ask if you were brave enough to go up and knock on the door when you went out there.
You literally, it would be putting your life in your hand because
that-
the
on that
porches
deck,
are
yeah.
in such bad shape.
All right. Okay, I had some questions, but I think I'm solving them in my head at the moment. We sent out a letter to Paula Napier, but that letter was in July. But when we actually started sending out notice of the violation, that was probably in after this deed in July from Paula Napier to Hannah
McNeil.
Pudilova. So when did the first notice of violation go out to them?
Oh, the notice of violation, it did not go to Miss Napier, it went to Hannah. So I forwarded a courtesy letter to Miss McNeil in September, September 3rd, and then I issued notice of violation to Miss McNeil October 1st.
Okay, and that went to the new owner.
Yes, correct.
That's all I'm really worried about is making sure that the right owner was
And she,
noticed for the hearing today.
correct, and she did accept her service. She does, the owner does live here in Newberry, and she's never reached out to me with all of the process.
Okay. Well, then yes, we are going to have a finding that as the condition sits on the property as of the last picture taken today or yesterday, when was the last picture?
The 3rd,
The
February 3rd.
There is a violation on the property, and that there is a violation of those certain codes, 9.5, 9.22.10, and that they will be brought into compliance within 30 days, or there'll be a fine of $50 a day assessed. Full cost of prosecution is also assessed. Again, if she gets in touch with y'all and she gets everything done with that to that residence within 30 days, I'll waive that cost of prosecution. I don't know if that's physically possible, but maybe. And that'll be it for that one.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing else for today?
Yes, sir. I would like to, let's see, I had documents. Here you go. I like to, old business, case read for closure, DGH Holdings 2 LLC and Granville Plantation LLC. I have for the record, that represent affidavit compliance after hearing. They have completed all that was required of them.
Remind me, that one was a permit issue
That
too?
was the venue, the wedding venue.
That was one of
you
our
heard-
several wedding
Yes,
venues that
you
try and
heard
pass as farms?
June 26, yes, sir. So all has been taken care of with that particular one.
Okay,
And I will present the secretary the affidavit.
okay.
And then my only other thing is just to announce that our next magistrate hearing is scheduled for Thursday, March 13th of 2025 at 9 a.m.
Okay, I've got something else before we adjourn. I've been thinking about this. I put together, Norm and I both, we put together, there's a set of procedures, and it's maybe only like 3 or 4 pages long. And I think, and maybe Kirsten might have some kind of thought on this too, either in our notice, I don't know that you want to attach an extra 4 or 5 pages to every notice of hearing that you send out, but at the very least, I think, and the one that I delivered to Newberry, it's in a raw format. It doesn't have any kind of heading at the top. I would like for y'all to doctor it up and make it look like a City of Newberry document, and one of 2 things. Just so that when I give, at the very beginning, when I give them the summary of the procedures, it's real short. I'd rather know that person had that, or at least had the ability to have that before they show up. The only way they get it now is if they come here and talk to somebody and say, hey, what's the hearing? How's the process going to go? Maybe you provide them a copy of that. I'd rather either have it on your website in the format where it looks like a City of Newberry document, or put it in every single notice of hearing that you send out. It's really up to y'all, but I'd really rather either have it on the website and in that notice say, alter your template for your notice to say procedures for the hearings can be found, and actually put the HTTP, the
link to it.
URL for it,
Okay.
just so, and really it's so nobody's got an excuse down the road to say, well, I showed up at this hearing and I didn't know that this was going to happen here and that was going to happen here. Yes, I informed them of that at the beginning of the hearing, but somebody's going to show up with an attorney one day and say, well, this was nowhere to be found on your website. Those hearing procedures were nowhere to be found on your website, or they weren't delivered in that notice. So that's the
Yeah,
only.
Forward it to us, and we'll certainly.
I think we've already, we provided it to Scott and Kirsten for them to look at and make sure they were all right with all the language in there. And that's what I've been abiding by, is that document. So
Okay.
I don't know whether you have it, but I can forward it to you when I
Yeah,
get back to the
absolutely,
office.
Okay.
Okay. That was all I
No, I'm
had.
open for any suggestions, how you want to proceed with the hearing so far, and how, I'm open for anything.
No, I think what we're doing is good, and I think that document pretty much, sometimes we get a little more informal than that document. That document is really meant to take care of when somebody shows up with an attorney, like the Gaston hearing, we're going to do this, and then you'll have the ability to cross-examine here, and then we're going
Right.
to do this. And so it's a lot more in detail than when we don't have even the property owner here, but even when a property owner shows up, I'm going to be a little informal. I'm not going to force them to abide by everything that's in that procedure document just because they're here by themselves, pro se, without an attorney, and I'm going to help walk them through it a little more than I would if somebody showed up with an attorney.
Absolutely.
So that document, I think they've got it, but I'll forward it to you when I get
Okay.
back. If you'll look at that document, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. That's kind of the standard of how I think every one of the hearings needs to go. And if it's a little more informal than that, it's because somebody has shown up here without representation, and I'm not just going to throw them under the bus.
Right.
Okay?
Agreed.
All
Absolutely.
right. Anything else? Kirsten, you got anything? All right. Well, then we'll adjourn.